Welcome TNCRadio.live. This is Building Strong Minds with Dr. Christopher Cortman. I'm Tom Kelly. We're going to be with you for the next hour, talking about all sorts of good things that are about helping you have a stronger mind. Dr. Cortman, how are you doing this evening?
I am so good I can't stand myself. How about yourself?
Oh, doing just great. Hey, we've been going through the acronym FORGIVE. And tonight we're on to the letter G, and I'm guessing that G stands for guillotine.
That's not the most optimistic of responses, but close.
Okay, well, before we jump into the G word, let's go back and look at how we did on F, O, and R.
Well, we decided that the acronym FORGIVE was research-based and correlated with longevity and well-being. That is, people who practice these 7 things are more likely to be happier and report well-being, and also more likely to live longer. As such, we want to understand what they are and what we can do to implement them in our lives. So the F word we decided was forgive itself. And forgive, we talked about being so necessary. If we are to be happy, we must release negativity. That is, any kind of regrets that we have in our past, any kind of resentments, anything negative, our hostilities, our frustrations, the bitterness that we hold from childhood experiences, or the things that we felt betrayed by, abandoned, used and abused. The research says holding on to that negativity is toxic for the vessel containing it. That is, if I hold on to resentment, all things being equal, I am more likely to be sick. I'm more likely to suffer a stroke, to have a cardiac event like a myocardial infarction or a heart attack. I'm more likely to suffer from clinical depression or anxiety or diabetes. And just the idea that regardless of what has happened to me, it behooves me to do the letting go, to work through those things and to release those things. That's mine. So that's the F word. And the O word is optimism. And as we talked about in a previous show, optimism is linked with so many good outcomes. It's an explanatory style. That is, it's a way of looking at the world that says ultimately all is for good. And I'm going to see things in a positive way. For those of you who have a spiritual base, it's sometimes a way of believing that the universe has positive things in mind for us, or that God loves us. And whatever we go through, God will help us recycle into ultimately His glory and our betterment. And as such, staying positive, having a sense that all will be ultimately good, helps people, again, to live longer and to have better outcomes in terms of things like cancer, childbirth, recovery from illness, or divorce. People just do better when they stay positive. So the optimism, as everyone knows, is about seeing the glass half full and deciding that ultimately it's going to be okay. It's going to work out. Again, biblically, that all things work out for those who love God, for our good, for God's will. So Even those who do not believe in God are enhanced in their well-being by believing in positivity. The R word is relationships. And relationships, we now know, are one of the greatest predictors of well-being in a person's life. And don't know if I mentioned this or not on a previous show, but a fantastic longitudinal study out of Harvard that began around 1948, I believe, with JFK's sophomore class, demonstrated as they followed these men throughout their entire lives that relationships and friendships were a wonderful predictor of well-being. Curiously, they found that cholesterol meant absolutely nothing in their lives and their happiness and their well-being. But having relationships was vital, and the relationships were not just about having friendships, although there's so many studies on how having friends benefit us, but also having long-term relationships with a significant other, a real predictor of happiness and well-being. For those who may have missed it, married men are significantly more likely to demonstrate well-being. They live longer. They enjoy better intimacy with their partners. They make more money. They have less health issues. They recover faster. Just one category after another that's positive. They drink less. They smoke less. They take better care of themselves. So long-term relationships with people we love clearly demonstrates that humans do better when they're not isolated, which is the flip side of friendship, right? Being all by yourself. So the research on isolation is relatively new, and it stands out like a sore thumb because isolation is now considered to be the new smoking. Very few people are smoking in our country, but many people, especially with the advent of the pandemic, have been in isolation. And we know that that is very, very bad for their health. And the goal is to always have, human connection. The Surgeon General was quoted as saying, we have research that says isolated people can lose as many as 15 years off their lives by not having quality human connection. So again, the flip side of isolation is human connection. Everyone in my field, regardless of how we believe we got here, whether it was through intelligent design and creation or whether it was evolving from primordial ooze or some combination thereof, everyone in my field believes that we are social animals, we're social creatures, and we do not thrive in isolation. The old quote that no man is an island has stood the test of time. Although the late Robin Williams said, no man is an island, but some men are peninsulas. And anyway, the result of all that is that the research is clear. We need humans to love. And that is the R word. So tonight we are going to focus on the G word, which is gratitude.
Gratitude. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're going to tell me before we can dive in, you want to have a break of some kind.
I think we'll take a little break, and then we'll dive in. How's that sound?
Wonderful.
All right.
Kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah, let's do that. And when we come back, we're going to talk about gratitude and why it's important and how it's important to our mental health even. So stay right with us right here on tncradio.live.
This blog is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. Truckers Against Trafficking can help fight modern-day slavery. Human trafficking is a real and frightening issue in the United States. It's a crime that forcefully exploits women, men, and children. Human trafficking involves transporting a person into a situation of exploitation, which can include forced labor, marriage, or prostitution. The term exploitation in this sense is commonly referred to as modern slavery. At this time, it's estimated that there are 20 to 40 million human trafficking victims internationally. According to the ACLU, the United States Department of State estimates that 14 to 17,000 people are trafficked into the United States each year. Truckers Against Trafficking exists to educate, equip, empower, and mobilize members of the trucking, bus, and energy industries to combat human trafficking. Truckers Against Trafficking goals: saturate trucking and related industries with TAT materials. Partner with law enforcement and government agencies to facilitate the investigation of human trafficking. Marshal the resources of partners to combat this crime. The Truckers Network proudly sponsors Truckers Against Trafficking and their efforts to fight against this heinous crime that's affecting hundreds of thousands of Americans each year. How truckers can help. Training video. Watch Truckers Against Trafficking's free training video and take the short quiz through their online portal. This will register you as an official TAT trained, TAT certified driver. Know the red flags. Download the Truckers Against Trafficking app and request a wallet card and window decal at tat.truckers@gmail.com. Share. Share Truckers Against Trafficking's training with others in person and through social media. How trucking companies, schools can help. Training video. Share Truckers Against Trafficking's free training video with your drivers. Request a digital file of your video or physical DVD from tat.truckers@gmail.com. Know the red flags. Tell your drivers to download the Truckers Against Trafficking app and or request wallet cards for your drivers from tat.truckers@gmail.com. Register. Register your company as trained to reflect your impact in the fight against trafficking and encourage others to do the same. This info blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Hey drivers, did you hear music on tncradio.live that you really liked? Or maybe you heard us interview an author of a book you'd like to read or listen to. You can get the books, music, and other products you hear about by going to our website at www.tncradio.live and clicking on the shopping cart.
Welcome back in, TNCRadio.live. This is Building Strong Minds with Dr. Christopher Cortman. I'm Tom Kelly, and we're going to be here with you to the top of the hour. Tonight, we're talking about gratitude and its import and why it's important to us. And Dr. Chris, I'm grateful that you're here to share this information with us. How's that? Is that a good start?
That is excellent, and I'm grateful to be here. So, why is it important to be grateful? And first of all, what is gratitude? Well, some people define it as an appreciation of what is valuable and what is meaningful to the self. It's appreciating things that I have. It's being thankful for all that I often take for granted. It's being aware that I have all kinds of wonderful opportunities in this life. It's being grateful to other people. It's being sometimes aware and thankful to a higher power. It's associated with an enhanced sense of well-being. One of the things we've learned from our research on gratitude is that grateful people are happy, and happy people are grateful. They have a way of seeing themselves as blessed, seeing themselves as just fortunate, and that life has been good to them, that their life experiences have been positive, and they look at things in a way where they say, I don't know what I did to deserve all this good fortune, but I sure am a blessed person, and I'm grateful about it. And that is very, very, very consistent with how happy people can think. So we have research that basically says when people focus on being grateful, when they learn how to count their blessings, so to speak, Tom, when they are mindful of things that are good, they tend to have good outcomes. There's been some research that demonstrated just by writing down 3 things to be grateful for in every day, people were happier by doing that at the end of a month. They had lowered their blood pressure. They were relishing the good experiences in their lives. They reported better health, more productivity in their work and closer relationships in their private life. There was a research study reported by a guy named Marty Seligman. Dr. Seligman is a very famous psychologist and has written extensively and studied extensively about positivity and positive psychology. And what he found out is that people did better just when they were asked to write a letter of gratitude to somebody who made a significant difference in their lives. And if possible, to hunt that person down and read the letter to them. And the beauty of this study was, as good as it probably felt to be the recipient of the letter, the people who read the letter, the people who expressed their gratitude, demonstrated improvement. There's a lot to be said for just being able to express that you helped me, that I'm grateful to you. You made a difference in my life, whether that's your teacher, whether that's a mentor, or whether that's a coach, whether that's a parent or a grandparent, or your mental health professional, or your spouse, somebody who's made a difference in your life. Think about if you've ever surprised somebody with a nice card or even a birthday card that just told them how great you think they are and what a difference they've made in your life. And it really blesses them, but you can't help but feeling terrific yourself, especially if they received it in a positive way. And so that's what the research seems to indicate, is that people who express gratitude are blessing themselves, ironically. It's that whole, it's more blessed to give than to receive. We have research that says if I'm the grateful one, even if I'm being grateful towards you, I receive lots of blessings just because I'm positive about it. It's associated with life satisfaction, hope, spirituality, forgiveness, empathy, and positive or pro-social behavior. And it's negatively correlated with depression, with anxiety, and one that I really liked, materialism and envy. In other words, when people are grateful, they seem to want less stuff to make them happy. They're grateful for what they have, and they're less envious of what other people have because they're learning how to enjoy the now and appreciate what is here and what they do have, rather than always having that eye on who has more than what they have. And boy, I wish I had his money, or I wish I had, somebody else's opportunities, or their girlfriend or their wife or their job or whatever they have, their movie star status, but gratitude says, never mind all of that. Be grateful for what you have. I read a study one time that said, whenever we think thoughts that make us angry or frustrated, we actually age our bodies just by thinking thoughts like that. Conversely, whenever we think thoughts of gratitude or praise, we reverse aging just by being great, just looking out the window and saying, what a beautiful day, or what gorgeous weather, or boy, am I blessed to have this opportunity, or to have you as a friend, or you as a wife, or you as my God, or whatever it is. The research keeps saying we do better when that's our mindset.
Does who you're grateful to matter, or is it just a matter of being grateful?
I don't know that the nervous system can differentiate, who we happen to be grateful towards. I think pretty much anything or anyone you express that positivity towards is just a positive thing going on within me. And so whether I'm grateful to the guy who invented pay at the pump, whose name I'll never know, or the guy who came up with indoor toilets, or, there's a lot of people I'm very grateful. I'll never meet them. I'll never know their names, but just feeling grateful to have opportunities like that. I'm sure that's good for me, and they'll never know or care that I was grateful.
True. But part of what I hear you saying, though, is that an important part of gratitude is expressing it. I mean, just being grateful in your heart, that's good, but expressing the gratitude is also important, right?
Yeah, expressing it is very, very validating. It's a beautiful experience. I told the story the last time we did this show, perhaps I should tell it again, of talking with an old college buddy of mine, and it occurred to me that I owed a debt of gratitude towards his father. And this was true because I was having a rough time my sophomore year of college, and I had a girlfriend break up with me. I had a couple of grades that were lower than what I expected on my report card. I was working too many hours on the weekend, and somebody in my world had just left school to go home and work. And that idea just popped into my head as, well, that would be great. Why don't I just do that? And it was very impulsive and potentially life devastating if I followed through, but I was going to. And I called my parents, and my father answered, and I said, I think I'm going to come home. And he said, okay, we'll leave a key out for you. And that was it. Well, before I could go, my roommate and best pal said, listen, before you go, why don't you talk to my dad? And I said, talk to your dad? I just hung up with my dad. Why do I got to talk to your dad? But he said, please do that for me. So I said, okay. I called his dad. He said, what's going on with you? And I told him about all these things that were really bothersome, that were frustrating. And he listened. He listened with a good ear. And he said, I hear that you're frustrated. I hear that you're upset. I hear that you're hurt and rejected in your relationship. But I want you to know that every one of these things are temporary and they could pass. And he said, and you're a bright guy and you've got a big future ahead of you. I want to encourage you to, do what you need to do. Work a little less on the weekends. You'll meet other ladies. Hang in there. Sometimes life gets tough. And it was very frustrating to me because everything he said made so much sense and I couldn't refute it. And I had to just listen to him. And by the end of the conversation, the thing I was most upset about was that now I had to do my philosophy homework because I was going to stay in school after all. So many, many, many years later, it occurred to me that I didn't even know if his father was still alive. I had never really thanked him. So I sent a letter, actually an email. And I said, how's your father doing? And I told him the story. And he said, my father is actually dying. He's been in the hospital for the last couple of weeks, and I haven't seen him smile. But I read him your letter, which included that because of you, sir, I not only stayed in school, but I got my doctorate, and I've had the opportunity to help thousands of people in my practice. And he said, you tell Chris thousands and one. And, you know, this was right before he died, and he had a big smile on his face because he felt like that was exactly what he needed to hear. It was something that he did that was amazing in his life. Because of his advice, I stayed in school and had a chance to help thousands of people. So I know that that was helpful to him, but it was also very helpful to me, Tom, because finally expressing that after all these years and just catching him, you know, was kind of like the last opportunity before the stroke of midnight. It's a true story, and, you know, I'll always feel good telling that story.
And even though the story is about gratitude, you got to be grateful that you got a chance to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just took one, you know, and it took my friend having the wisdom to know, I don't know what to tell you, but my dad will, you know, just talk to my dad. He's got answers for everything. And he was a lot wiser than I was at the time. So.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, let's take a quick break, and we'll check in with one of your mental health moments. You can catch these mental health moments on TikTok. Look for the TikTok Shrink. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can catch them out there. You can also find them out on YouTube. These mental health moments from Dr. Christopher Cortman. Check this one out, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes right here. TNCRadio.live. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. I promised you in part one of this video that we'd talk a little bit more about enabling versus helping. Let's pretend that you have a son, and this son has a wife and 2 kids, and he's working 2 full-time jobs, and sometimes has a 3rd gig whenever he can. And you say to the son, I'd like to help you get in your first house. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to match every dollar you can come up with, and together we'll put a down payment for you on a new house. Are you helping or enabling? Most people would say helping. He's doing everything he possibly can. But you also have a daughter. She's in her 5th semester of college. She's a freshman. And she's kind of taking her sweet time dropping classes. And she's only compiled about 12 credits thus far. And she says, Daddy, the lease is up. I need you to sign for me again for this wonderful plush apartment. Sounds like an opportunity to enable to me. Why? Because she's not doing everything she possibly can to help herself. That's probably where a parent has to step in and say, time to come home and let's go to community school or some kind of a change, because I'm no longer willing to enable. In my book, Your Mind, an Owner's Manual for a Better Life, I wrote a little ditty on enabling, and it goes something like this. When you call him in sick, he's been drinking with Rick, that's enabling. When she's living for thrills, you've been paying her bills, that's enabling. I know what you're thinking, keep your day job, Cortman. But here's the thing. Help people as long as they're doing everything they can to help themselves. Otherwise, stay out of the way and let them do what they can to help themselves.
For the latest in traffic, weather, and information. Catch the morning grind weekdays right here on tncradio.live. Welcome back, tncradio.live. Dr. Cortman, we were going over some trivia stuff this morning, and this is something I did not know. Did you know that 33% of people, a third of people, can't snap their fingers?
On either hand?
On either hand, they can't snap their fingers. I didn't know that.
No, thank you, because now I have something else to be grateful for.
Yeah, I'm a big time snapper. Yeah, I can do it loud, and I get my dogs to come running with a snap and everything else. But for all
I can't get my kids to come running. I don't know. Maybe I don't snap as well as you do, but yeah.
So just a little piece of trivia I thought I'd throw out there for you. So we've been talking about gratitude and its importance for helping people to do better in life, feel better in life, all of that kind of stuff. You mentioned something earlier about writing down, what did you say, three things each day that you're grateful for?
Yeah.
How is that helpful? And I've heard this before, so I've got a couple of questions about that. But let me ask it this way. Is it better to write than type than talk? Can I accomplish the same thing if I just say it in my prayers in the morning? Or is there something really to, hey, take a pen, take the 5 minutes and write down the three things you're grateful for, and this helps you? Help me with the process here a little bit.
Yeah, I think what we're looking for is the focus on such. The more that I put into it, like by not only thinking it, but then writing it down. And not only writing it down, but sharing it with somebody. Not only sharing it with somebody, but making it my explanatory style, that I see the world positively, that I believe that my life has meaning, something that we'll get into in subsequent programs, that we have to have investments. We have to believe that life has meaning, that I have purpose. And so gratitude is a belief that I'm here for a reason, and I'm grateful to have a part of this. I'm grateful to be here, to be a part of this team, to be able to have people to love, or people that care about me, to have opportunities to make a difference every day. For the truckers listening to the program, what you guys do definitely makes a difference. We need everything that you guys deliver, and when truck drivers stop driving, we feel it. I mean, there's a belief I would like everyone to have, is that I can make a difference every day wherever I go by what I do and what I say. And to believe that I have opportunities it's great to be alive. It's great to be an American. It's great to be a male. It's great to have family. It's great to have people who love me. It's great to be married. I want to have that kind of attitude for everything good in my life. And there are so many things that are good in my life if I just take the time. I asked a professor to do that one time, and this gentleman really took it to heart, and he wrote about little things that I would never pay attention to. On his list one day was mockingbirds outside his window. And he wrote he was grateful for the Beatles. And I said, wow, that goes back to 1964. He goes, no, I listen to them every day. I listen to them today. I'm grateful for the Beatles. I mean, just to have an attitude that says there's so much good, and good that I take for granted. How many of us have relationships that go back 20, 30, 40 years or more, the same wonderful woman or siblings or parents, or, I just completed a 3-day weekend with 5 of my college buddies, all descended upon me here in Sarasota. And we decided we're going to do this every 42 years, no matter what. So it was just a really wonderful thing. And we were all so grateful by the end of the weekend that we still love each other. We still have a great time together. We still know how to cut up. There's a few extra pounds. We went fishing and I felt bad for the boat at sometimes, but it was all still there. Just putting something into, going back to what we said earlier about relationships, about friendships. Well, we all walked away really grateful from this weekend because there's all that love that, we weren't expressing on a regular basis because we all have our own lives. The 5 of us represented 4 different states, and but we got together. We put the necessary effort into getting together. It's beautiful.
That's awesome. And I did something similar a few years ago, and it was just great to reconnect and to see the ways that we've changed and the ways that we haven't.
Yeah.
And that's all part of the relationships piece too, right?
Yeah, it's we do so much better when we have people to love and to connect with. So I talked to someone this morning, and she was just saying that she just aches because there's no significant other in her life anymore, and her children are far away, and she just doesn't have the regular connection. And she's like, "What's wrong with me?" And I told her that there's nothing wrong with you. That I would give you a little analogy. I said, lonely is like hungry. When you're hungry, you don't say, "What's wrong with me?" You know that you haven't eaten in a while. And as soon as you eat, you can become satiated, and it takes care of that problem. Well, lonely is a social hunger. There's nothing wrong with me if I'm lonely. The problem is not me. The problem is I don't have anyone that I'm feeling connected to or close to. And I could be fed socially, just like I could be fed in terms of food and nourishment. So rather than making it sound pathologic that she's sad and she's lonely, it's like your life needs a little work. We have to add some people. You've lost some people, and like a business, there's some vacancies. You have to fill those voids. There's a job opening for significant other. There's some slots for friends. People come and go, and we have to replace losses. And so back to being grateful. Anytime we have connection with a person that we really enjoy, we feel better, and it's good to celebrate that with gratitude. I intend to send messages out to all the guys I saw over the weekend and how grateful I am that they went out of their way to fly here, to drive here from North Carolina in one guy's case. I mean, just to take all that time out of their lives to hang out here with me. I'm grateful, and they made it a wonderful time for me and for my family.
That is great. And what better place to do it too than to all come down to Florida?
Yeah, it's nice on the beach, but
Absolutely.
It doesn't hurt to have that as a destination.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, Dr. Cortman, I want to ask you, so we've talked about the F, O, R, and G. And I want to talk to you about the way these things all kind of interconnect.
Okay.
All right. So we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. You're listening to TNCRadio.live. Stay right there.
This blog on TNCRadio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 4 things to consider before becoming a hazmat tanker driver. The demand for truck drivers is higher than ever. There are many different types of truck driving jobs. Whether you're a new driver or if you already have a couple of years' experience, it's never a bad idea to get new skills and endorsements. Hazmat tanker jobs are one of the many truck driving jobs. If you're considering becoming a hazmat tanker truck driver, here's some things you should know. What is a hazmat tanker? Hazmat truck drivers haul, deliver, and dispose of hazardous materials. Hazardous material can include things like gases, explosives, corrosive chemicals, poisons, and radioactive materials. Hazmat tanker drivers are not limited to hauling only hazardous material. They can also drive a non-hazardous tanker. Have the right requirements. Becoming a certified hazmat tanker driver will require you to add specific endorsements to your already existing CDL. You'll have to undergo training that is specifically designed for transporting and handling hazardous materials. After obtaining your CDL, you'll have to go through a background check and complete the application requirements. The application requires ID proof of being at least 21 years old, proof of citizenship or legal residence, a medical exam and eye exam. You must pass the hazmat knowledge test too. It's more stressful. Regardless of what you're hauling, being a truck driver is a stressful job. Safety is a top priority for truck drivers, especially for hazmat tanker drivers. Hauling hazardous material means that accidents or spills are much more severe. Hazmat tanker drivers are under much more stress and caution than drivers that haul non-hazardous material. Drivers need to be extra careful and need to plan their routes before driving. It requires a lot of skill. Truck driving is a difficult career and it's not for everyone. Being a truck driver already requires a lot of skill. For hazmat tanker drivers, there are specific skills that you'll need in order to be successful. Aside from the technical skills, hazmat tankers should also have personal skills. Some personal skills include being punctual, detail-oriented, and patient. These skills will make you a better driver in the long run. You make more money. Hazmat tanker drivers make more money on average. This is because more experience and skills required to haul hazardous loads. According to Salary.com, the average salary for a hazmat tanker driver in the United States is just over $63,000 a year, but the average salary range falls between $55,000 and $72,000 a year. Salary varies from education, certification, experiences, and additional skills. This info blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Ready for the power of positive and something that will put you back to a time you wanted to last forever? Music is the ultimate time machine. What was your favorite time? Do you want to go back there? LTD Radio features the songs of the 70s, 80s, and 90s that will transport you to a happier time. It'll make you smile and brighten your day. We could all use that about now. TNCRadio.live is proud to carry the great music of LTD Radio.
Welcome back, TNCRadio.live. Right here, we've got Dr. Christopher Cortman. This is Building Stronger Minds. We were talking about, before we went to break there, the gratitude, and that led into discussion about relationships and being grateful. But relationships was the R in our acronym FORGIVE. I know we haven't gone through all of the letters yet, but is this something that is by design that all of these kind of interact? Because yes, I could just look at being grateful, and if I was a more grateful person, that would be helpful to me. But there's also an interesting interaction here with relationships, and I guess better relationships come with being an optimistic person, because if you're a pessimistic person, it's harder to build relationships. Yes?
It's an excellent question. And I ask people sometimes to shorten this whole acronym to dwell in the fog. And that is forgiveness, optimism, and gratitude. And yeah, in my mind, these are all siblings because they're all part of the same explanatory style. It's a way of looking at the world. It's a way of looking at your life. It's a way of saying, back to the I word that we'll come to, which is investments. You have to believe in something or believe in the life has meaning, life has purpose, that my life is valuable, that there are reasons for me to be here. My life is not an accident. I have to turn it into something that has meaning, or perhaps, depending on my belief structure, that I've been chosen before the foundation of the earth to have a life and for my life to have meaning. But regardless of what we tell ourselves as to how we got here, it's important to believe that my life has meaning, and I'm to be positive about it, and I'm to make a difference. And, connecting with other people and making the lives of others better ends up making my life better. Those people who serve others, those people who are effective leaders, those people who teach or coach or counsel, who affect the lives of others positively, they benefit from that. Teachers don't go into their craft because of the money, but so many teachers feel this sense of fulfillment because they touch the lives of others, because they make a difference in the lives of children. And it's true about healthcare workers. It's true about nurses and physicians and, people who touch the lives of other people. It has a way of returning to the person who does the giving and who does the caregiving and who does the loving and the serving. It makes a difference to touch the lives of others. So it's all part of an attitude, these 7 words. It's all part of a belief that I'm to do the best that I can with my opportunities in life. And by staying positive, by staying connected to others, by having relationships, by being grateful, by volunteering my time, by taking care of my body, by taking care of my mind, I'm doing good things, rather than saying this life is just a waste, or, the answer is whoever has the most toys wins, or, just to think that this life is just nothing but an empty waste of time. So let's just have a big party. People don't do as well as if they think their lives have meaning and purpose and things to strive for and things to believe in and people to help and projects and purpose.
Why is it hard? And it is, at some level, it just seems so simple, but at the same time, obviously it's not, or else we'd all be mentally healthy all the time, right? So
I'd be out of business, and that's not
true. We wouldn't need you because we'd all be, work. Why is it that it's hard to remember to be grateful and optimistic and so forth? It is.
I want to give you a little analogy that I know you can relate to, hopefully not personally, but there was a time in our lives, probably can go back as early as 2nd or 3rd grade, when some of the young people became aware that school was very difficult for them, and they were not the ones being called on in class because they had all the right answers and their names didn't go up on the board for making 100s. And very quickly, these people learned that if they stopped caring about school, then they weren't so badly hurt. And they began to come up with things like school is stupid, or school is boring, or school is for nerds, or nobody cool really cares about school. And what they were doing, Tom, was protecting themselves against the pain of failing and not doing well. It hurts to feel inadequate. It hurts to try and to not measure up. And so, it's hard because all of these things mean that I care. All of these things mean that my life matters and I'm invested in my life. And why is that hard? Because life is so hard. And the people that I'm asking you to care about, some of them are going to move away and some are going to say things that really hurt. and some are going to die before you do. And because that you put a lot of value in these relationships, you're going to hurt. Anytime something matters to you, you now are at risk to be wounded. Anytime you invest in something or someone, you're at risk to be hurt. That's why sports fans have a wonderful opportunity to be elated and devastated, because what's going on in the field reflects, it's me out there. That's my team. And it's joyous to win and it's painful to lose because I'm invested. The people who are not invested do not feel. So what I'm saying to you is that all of these things matter. Your life matters. Your mental health matters. Your relationships matter. Other people matter. Whether or not you forgive matters. Staying positive matters. And even after all this happens, there's still going to be bad things and painful things that happen to you. And it's easier to say nothing matters. You know, I have a soldier from Vietnam and at least one or two other wars, a former helicopter pilot who says back in Nam, they would say, it don't matter. It don't matter. When somebody would die, they would say, it don't matter. It don't matter. And what they were doing is just like the second grade kid who realizes, you know, I'm not doing really well on this math stuff. And I learned to say it don't matter because it just it doesn't hurt as much when I decide things don't have meaning. And here I am trying to say, no, it all has meaning. This life has meaning, and what you do has meaning, and how you treat your neighbor has meaning, and how you treat yourself, and whether you forgive, and whether you're positive, and whether you're optimistic, it all matters. And now we finally know, thousands of years after, religious leaders and wise men said these things, we know that they were right because the research is bearing it out. The research is demonstrating that, hey, these guys were onto something. It does make sense to forgive, not just from some spiritual sense, but because it lets me off the hook. It does matter to be in praise. It does matter to be grateful. You know, when you stop and give a blessing, you say great stuff.
Well, I tell you what, Dr.
I share with my friends, those things matter.
Dr. Chris, we're breaking up here just a little bit. The internet is failing us just a bit here. So I tell you what, we're going to wrap things up.
What do you think, Tom?
Real briefly, how do people reach you?
For one thing, they could stalk me.
Yes, they could. But let's do something more positive than that.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, that wasn't helpful. srqshrink.com is a way to find me. For those people who are on social media, I can be located that way. Dr. Christopher Cortman on TikTok, the TikTok Shrink.
The TikTok Shrink. I like that.
That's where I have those mental health minutes.
Yeah.
Which are about 2 minutes long and hopefully chock full of wisdom. Most of us can listen to something for 2 minutes without falling asleep.
We play those throughout
they can
the
all
day.
call. They can always call. They can always leave a message. They can always find one of my books that might be relevant to them. And, any way that I could help would be great.
So on this conversation around gratefulness, what if I wanted to go grab one of your books, which one would I want to pick up that would be most relevant to our conversation tonight?
Well, I think the book on anxiety, Tom, Take Control of Your Anxiety, has a lot in there on, there's a chapter on dwelling on the fog, forgiveness, optimism, and gratitude. And also your mind and owner's manual, that's going to talk all about how our thinking can make or break us, and how to take charge of our thinking, because most people don't understand why they feel what they feel and how they can change how they feel. So those are 2 books that stand out on that.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you all very much for listening in. Coming up next, Truckers Life Radio from one of our friends from TFC Global. Stay tuned right here to tncradio.live. Radio.live. 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 Radio.